Hi, welcome to Hollywood Crime Scene. This is Rachel Fisher.
Hi, this is Desi Jedeikin.
And we're back.
Yeah, with the main
episode. So I told you last week that I was going to do a compilation episode talking about the various talk show scandals that have happened on talk shows.
Yes.
And as I started writing, the first story I was writing turned into a main episode.
Oh.
So today we are going to be talking about A Million Little Pieces.
Oh, James Fry.
James Fry.
Wow.
Did you read this book?
No. I never liked him.
Oh.
I don't know why. He rubbed me the wrong way.
Well,
I know why. Now I know why.
Now you know why. I was given a copy of this book by someone shortly after I got out of rehab. I did not read it.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a real golden age of memoirs.
I just remember why I didn't read the book when it was given to me. It's very stupid because I didn't like the cover.
With the pills?
No, I thought it was sprinkles.
Oh, was it sprinkles?
Is it pills? Is that supposed to be pills?
I thought it was like my memory is like that it's blue, like an aqua blue, and that it has pills sprinkled all down.
No, it's a hand covered in those non-parallel sprinkles.
Oh, it is? I mean, maybe there was a few covers.
No, that was the cover.
Well, sometimes they change it for paperback and stuff, no?
No.
I'm saying sometimes they do that for books.
But
I don't know if they did it.
You had the right idea.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's the hand.
Covered in sprinkles.
Covered in sprinkles.
Now I have to look it up.
Please look it up. There was something about the cover of the book. I said, I'm not reading this.
What's it called? A Million Little Pieces? Big Little Fires? Big Little Lies? What's it called?
Yeah, the little girl who lives down the lane.
What is it called?
A Million Little Pieces.
It doesn't. It sounded wrong when I was typing it in. I was like, A Million Little Pieces.
I feel like he was one of like the first to have a title with like little things in it.
Maybe. Like, so he can be proud of that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. The aqua, the hand.
But those are sprinkles, right?
Hold on a second. It's not letting me blow it up. Oh yeah, that is disgusting.
I don't know why it was off-putting to me because I like sprinkles.
I'm laughing because people have parodied it with sprinkles on a foot. It's even more repulsive. I think I saw that and literally thought it was pills. Like, I don't think I ever picked the book up. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I didn't look at it very closely. You had it in your hand.
I had it in my
sprinkle covered hand.
Someone at my sober living gave it to me, and this is after the controversy. This is like fall 2006. This person gave it to me and said this book like changed my life. It's incredible. Like, you have to read it. Everyone who's like went to rehab needs to read this book. And I just like didn't. Let's start from the beginning. In 2003, James Fry's, I always want to say Frey.
Yeah.
I know it's Fry. In 2003, James Fry's harrowing memoir, A Million Little Pieces, about his struggle with drug addiction and subsequent recovery was published. The book wasn't an instant hit, but 2 years later, in September 2005, Fry was awarded one of the most sought-after honors for an up-and-coming author, a spot on Oprah Winfrey's book club list.
Oh my God.
Now, if you were on this list...
And you were rich.
You were instantly rich and successful.
When she first started the book club, I read almost every book.
Like The Deep End of the Ocean?
Yes.
I think that was like the first one.
There was a bunch. They were all very chick lit. I mean, the first choices, I think.
Wally Lamb.
Wally Lamb. Yes. I remember the Wally Lamb. I read both of his books.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have more by this point.
Yeah.
I can't remember the names of them. There was one with the twins, and one of them was like a schizophrenic or something. Yeah. I read all of those though.
All I know is that my mother definitely, we had copies of those different Oprah book club books.
Well, because they all had the seal.
Yeah.
I mean, I just read a lot during that period, so anything I was like, okay, I'll try it. Like,
yeah.
And they were all pretty readable books, like, you know, and a little trashy.
But sometimes she would pick a book that was like from 20 years ago, but maybe slightly more obscure.
Or should pick like a Toni Morrison book or something like that. Yeah. So, but a lot of them were like newer writers that I hadn't heard of. At least the first, 10 books.
It's like when a big podcast promotes a small podcast.
Yes. No, I mean, I think it's a great thing that she did.
Yeah, I think the book club is cool. So Fry is awarded this honor. He gets a mention on her book club list, and immediately book sales skyrocketed. And Fry's gruesome details about drug addiction titillated readers. That was one of the things that gripped people so much in this particular memoir, is his vivid descriptions of like having vomit on him and puke and shit and all of these like wild things that happened to him with his criminal history.
Right.
Getting in fights. In 2006, Laura Barton described the contents of the book in a Guardian piece, saying, "Over the course of 500 pages, he wrestles a swarthy rage he names the Fury, battens down his cravings, sprays spit and snot and blood and urine, recounts his misdemeanors, finds friendship, and falls in love. In one memorable scene, he undergoes back-to-back root canal surgery, but as he is in withdrawal, he is forced to weather the entire procedure without anesthetic, pressing his pain into 2 tennis balls until his fingernails crack. It is a brutal, foul-mouthed, utterly compelling book."
Is that has to be untrue?
Well, we'll get into that.
Because I can't see any dentist agreeing to that.
In October 2005, a month after A Million Little Pieces made Oprah's book club list, he went on her show to discuss this memoir.
I remember watching this.
He was on the whole show.
I watched Oprah a lot when I was like growing up and into like the 2000s.
Yeah.
So I definitely remember watching these book club episodes.
Me too.
Because they would often have the author on at some point.
So he goes on this show, he goes on Oprah.
Oprah, the show.
The show to go on. It further boosted his profile. And Fry became a celebrity, with everyone and their mother talking about this memoir. He went on packed book tours, sold millions of copies, and made millions of dollars. Fry even wrote a screenplay based on the book, and it reportedly had some big names attached to it.
Ooh.
But a few months later, in January 2006, The Smoking Gun published a piece written by their editor, Bill Bastone, titled A Million Little Lies.
Yes. Now that's a miniseries title.
It's always The Smoking Gun.
Yeah.
They're going to get you. The Smoking Gun conducted a 6-week investigation into the memoir's authenticity and came to the conclusion that a lot of it had been fabricated and embellished. The investigation began during a simple search for a mugshot of Fry to post on their website. And after that, they just went down a rabbit hole.
That was his fatal flaw. It wasn't just like, I don't remember it that way kind of stuff, which I'm sure every memoir has.
Right.
He actually had evidence people could look up. Like he was citing arrest and mugshots and like whatever.
And jail time.
Yeah, which is easily, you can look that up unless he was a minor, right? Like,
yeah. And the funniest part about it is that this Smoking Gun expose happened by accident.
Yeah, because that's a site that just publishes famous people's mugshots. And like, they have other things too, but that's something they do.
Right. So
they'll be like Tim Allen's mugshot from whatever, 40 years ago. Yeah, like that's what they do.
So they went looking specifically for his mugshot from this infamous moment in the book where he gets arrested in Ohio in 1992.
Right.
And what they found was a lot of stuff.
Good.
This is a quote from The Smoking Gun from that piece. Police reports, court records, interviews with law enforcement personnel, and other sources have put the lie to many key sections of Fry's book. The 36-year-old author, these documents, and interviews show wholly fabricated or wildly embellished details of his purported criminal career, jail terms, and status as an outlaw, quote, wanted in 3 states. In addition to these rap sheet creations, Fry also invented a role for himself in a deadly train accident that cost the lives of 2 female high school students. In what may be his book's most crass flight from reality, Fry remarkably appropriates and manipulates details of the incident so he can falsely portray himself as the tragedy's 3rd victim.
Oh my God.
More on that later. Now, during the course of the investigation, the Smoking Gun interviewed Fry to ask him about the discrepancies they found. Like, they reached out to him.
Yeah.
And he did conduct an interview with them. But when they went to ask follow-up questions, Fry's lawyer had gotten involved and was like, you have to stop.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing this anymore. So ahead of the publishing of the expose, Fry published an email from the Smoking Gun on his website, followed by a warning to his fans that people were out there trying to discredit him.
Yeah.
He's like, if you see some articles coming out.
This is like Robert F. Kennedy getting ahead of the bear story.
Yeah.
And just making it worse.
Totally. So Fry said in this post to his website, let the haters hate, let the doubters doubt. I stand by my book and my life, and I won't dignify this with any sort of further response.
He's like this is early internet, like social media lingo. My haters. My haters are hating.
The haters and losers.
The haters and losers are trying to destroy me. Okay.
The Smoking Gun uncovered evidence that showed Fry did not spend time in prison, nor did he have the extensive criminal record as told in both the memoir and in multiple interviews promoting the memoir.
He's such an idiot because all he had to do is say he committed crimes and didn't get caught. Do you know what I mean? Like,
here's the problem. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic in recovery. I know all about how ugly addiction and alcoholism is. And I know from, friends who are also addicts that everyone's story, the details of the story, they are vastly different from one another. Like, they vary.
Right.
The disease is the same, but the circumstances are all different. Like, yes, there's the alcoholic who's like drinking in a ditch somewhere and they're homeless, right? But then there's like the wealthy alcoholic who is still just as much of an alcoholic. So like, all of our circumstances vary. The reality is that alcoholism and addiction is ugly in and of itself. You don't need to make up details to make it more harrowing. What's interesting is the truth of it, and that sometimes alcoholism is banal and unremarkable, and that makes it all the more tragic.
Yes, but I'm saying if he wanted to embellish and lie and make it worse, why would you make it seem like you just didn't commit crimes and not get caught? Do you know what I mean? Like, you could say, because you've told me things where you're like, that probably could have led to an arrest. Yes. Under better, you know what I mean? Like, under circumstances, but it didn't. So I'm sure people who are drinking, even if they're not an alcoholic or on drugs, do things where they could have been in trouble if they got busted. Well, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's like stupid that he had to act like he got busted for it.
It's really baffling to me because, you're absolutely right, Desi. I don't know why he did that. Most alcoholics and drug addicts, or many of them at least, break the law at some point in their careers.
Well, here's the other thing. This is like early 2000s, and I feel like he's a victim of what we now had access to. Everyone had the internet now to search up these things very easily if they wanted to.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And because he had this, like, the Oprah was like, a blessing and a curse, because now there's all these eyes on him because it's this national sensation of a memoir.
And like you said, no one was even trying to take him down. It just happened accidentally.
Right. It's wild.
Can you imagine how exciting that must have been?
Dude,
whoa.
The people at the Smoking Gun are some world-class haters.
Did this must have really put them on the map though, in a way, as something more than just like a mugshot. Do you know what I mean? Like,
did they publish anything? I think they had published in 97 the court transcripts of Michael Jackson.
Oh, that were unavailable or something?
Yeah.
Okay. So
they had done something.
They had done a few things.
But this was a 13,000 word takedown.
Damn.
It's long. One of the arrests and subsequent incarcerations Fry describes in the book involves a dramatic moment in Ohio one night in 1992 where Fry said he hit a cop with his car.
I'm sorry.
Then, when the cops go to arrest him, Fry says he starts assaulting the cops, followed by multiple cops beating him.
Right.
Like brutally beating him. Uh-huh. And basically it's this scene of him taking on like 10 cops.
Yeah.
So he gets arrested. This story is a pivotal moment in the book. Fry claimed that there were multiple felony charges against him and that he was facing years in prison.
You know, it's funny, now that you're saying that, I do remember the reason he didn't appeal to me was I felt like at the time I was reading a lot of women, gay men memoirs, and he was very aggressively straight male. And I just didn't care. Do you know what I mean? Like this anger and like anger issues and like acting out violently just didn't really appeal to me as a story.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
I did read one drug addiction / recovery memoir that first year of sobriety, and it was the woman who was my interventionist had written a memoir, and she had also gotten sober when she was very young.
Right.
And that I could relate to that.
Yes.
And it involved like sex abuse and like very similar things to my story. It was just
right.
That was kind of the story I wanted to read at that time.
Yes.
That's not to say that Fry's book didn't help a lot of people, because a lot of people did say this book helped them.
Yeah, and his struggle might appeal to certain people, just not to me.
Yeah. So Fry said that this incident in Ohio 92, like they had found crack on him. He was like high and drunk, and this led to all these felony charges against him. But later in his memoir, the prosecutor in this case offers him a deal of 3 to 6 months in county jail, followed by probation. So like multiple pages later, like many, many pages later, he's like in rehab, and he thinks after rehab, he's going to have to go to prison for like years.
Right.
But it turns out after some people from the rehab like talk to the prosecutor, he's like, okay, your sentence is reduced to 3 to 6 months. And like you just have to do some probation, and you don't have to go to prison. You can go to county jail.
Okay.
So that's what happens in the book. Fry says that he took the deal, but the Smoking Gun couldn't find any records of the arrest or the charges after interviewing the county sheriff and the prosecutors. And these were the sheriffs and the prosecutors at that time, or people who were still working there.
Right.
In 2006. They had 0 computer records or physical records. Fry told the Smoking Gun that he had the record expunged.
Okay.
But they would still have like a record of that being expunged.
Yeah.
Like that, there still would be evidence of this crime.
Also, what is the chances that someone who beat up 10 cops would get off that easy or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing they talk about in this investigation is like, well, this all sounds like a very serious crime.
I just don't think, because even if you want to believe that they're like, we take care of our own, right? Like prosecutors and cops.
Well, which they do.
They're going to, yeah, exactly. Like they're not going to let this guy off easy. Fuck this guy, right?
Yeah. The county's chief prosecutor, Robert Becker, told the Smoking Gun that it's possible that Fry was arrested in 1992, but that the charges were not as serious as he had claimed, and that the records would therefore be at a different office. So they should go look at this other office where they do misdemeanors.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I get the feeling everything they look into is going to be like, oh, that got expunged. That might be at a different off. It's like, so what are the chances that every single incident is difficult to find?
Right. This prosecutor, Becker, also noted that Ohio didn't even have a charge of felony DUI until 1996, which is one of the charges.
That's crazy.
I guess it was just a misdemeanor then.
Jesus.
So in the book, Fry claims that one of his many charges was felony DUI.
Right.
And they're like, no, we didn't even have that in the state of Ohio. This prosecutor debunked other claims made in Fry's recounting of the case against him, such as the fine amount he would have been ordered to pay and the amount of community service he said he was made to do. Because in the book, he also mentions, like, in addition to his probation, he was ordered to pay a $15,000 fine and do 1,000 hours of community service.
Wow.
And they're like, we would never do 1,000 hours of community service. $15,000, never.
Yeah.
So they're just like debunking
every aspect of it.
Now, Fry was in fact arrested in Ohio of 1992. But what really happened is a wildly different story.
Wow. So there's records of this.
Right, in like the second tier office. So they found evidence of an arrest. It's just not what he described in the book. According to the police report, Fry was seen attempting to park his car in a no parking zone when it went up onto the curb and almost hit a light pole. A police officer told Fry, "You can't park here," and that's when he noticed Fry was drunk. Fry was then given field sobriety tests, which he failed. They also found an open beer bottle in his car, and he was calmly arrested.
Not as dramatic.
No.
Bad parking.
But this is what I'm talking about. You can still tell this story exactly as it occurred, but it's the emotion behind it and in the context that makes it interesting. It's like, this is at the end of the day, a lot of being an alcoholic is like feeling pathetic.
I think that he didn't want to look pathetic, though. In his alcoholism, he wanted to tell these stories where he was like a lunatic doing these crazy things rather than being pathetic. Do you know what I mean? Like,
because a lot of the times, like when you're deep in the throes, like you're just a loser and it's embarrassing. But like, that's what makes it interesting is it's like,
because he probably felt like he had to do this to sell the book, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or maybe he's not a good enough writer to like sell that loserness where nothing's really happening.
Right.
It's like when I read the things, I'm never as impressed with the big stories as I am the small moments, because those are where I'm like, that's really real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like those are the moments that get me.
Right.
More than the dramatic ones.
Yeah. It's these like little moments or these little feelings you have in the moment.
Yeah. And you're kind of like, ugh, I've been there.
After Fry was arrested, he spent 5 hours in jail before being bailed out by his parents.
Wow. That's not cool.
Hey, we saw your parents picking you up at the jail.
Yeah. Did your mom bail you out?
He ended up being issued 2 traffic tickets and was ordered to pay a very small fine. Ugh. But these are the indignities I want to hear about sometimes.
He's just, he's like not like actually healed 100%, I feel like. Like he hasn't done the work.
Well, I think that's clear because he has a different take on recovery.
I see.
I mean, that's fair for him. If he can choose his own path. I just don't know if his particular path involves rigorous honesty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just say that. Another major discrepancy is that Fry claimed to have had crack on him during this arrest, but that was nowhere in the report. They're like, no, we found like an open bottle of Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Right. Yeah.
The Smoking Gun attempted to do follow-up interviews, like I said before, based on this evidence they had uncovered. And this is when they were sent the letter from the lawyer said, "My client has had many altercations with the law. And the fact that you may have one police report that refers to one offense does not necessarily mean that you have the police report of the incident described in the book."
Show us.
Right.
Show us the proof.
Let's take a quick break here. We'll be right back. Now, Fry was only 23 when he got sober, and he said a lot of his other brushes with the law occurred when he was a minor. Those records, if real, are of course sealed. The smoking gun did find a report for when Fry was arrested at age 18 for drunk driving in his hometown of St. Joseph, Michigan. When describing this incident in the book, Fry said he blew a .36, setting a county record for highest blood alcohol level.
How drunk is that?
That's pretty drunk. The legal limit is .08.
That's pretty low. I'm just saying.
Wait, .08 is?
Yeah, you're legally drunk, but a lot of people don't realize it because they're not. That's like 2 drinks probably, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he did not set a county record. He did not win a prize at the state fair.
No.
He actually did not blow that, and we'll get into that. Fry said following this arrest, he spent a week in jail. But the police report uncovered by the smoking gun said otherwise. Yes, Fry was arrested for drunk driving, but he blew a .21, and he was quickly bailed out by his parents following the arrest. He was given a reduced sentence and ordered to pay a small fine. According to the police report, they didn't even want Fry in the jail because he had chicken pox at the time of his arrest.
That's crazy.
And they have a photo of him with chicken pox on the Smoking Guns website.
We have to post that.
We can post. Look, this picture's great. I hope he at least included that he had chicken pox in his book because that's a great detail.
Yeah. You could see him bailing on that detail.
But to me, that's a great detail.
No, it's great.
Get it? Like, that's embarrassing.
I wonder if it's cool enough for him.
Getting a DUI and also having chickenpox, the little kid disease at the same time, is hilarious.
Right. Also, just having chickenpox and getting wasted. It's like, aren't you sick? I mean, I don't remember what having chickenpox is like, but I think you're kind of sick.
You are sick. But again, that's another reason why it would be stupid for him to have not included it in the memoir. Because that's classic alcoholism, right?
Right.
Yes, I have the chickenpox, but I'm still going to get shit-faced and go driving around at night.
Yeah, I'm bored. I've been home for 4 days.
Did you have chickenpox?
Yeah, when I was like a baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was 5.
I was like a toddler.
It is always alarming when an adult gets it.
It's definitely more serious.
Right.
But it's also like, what happened here? Why haven't you had chickenpox yet?
Look, I'm sure there's very legitimate
I am
reasons.
too, but just like as a layman, I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, it is always interesting to me because I'm not a doctor. I don't know the facts about chickenpox.
But it's definitely something you have as a kid.
Fry also claimed that he was the target of the FBI for selling drugs while in college.
Oh.
In A Million Little Pieces, he describes getting arrested by both police officers and an FBI agent at a bar.
Both of them?
Well, like he said that the local cops, he's like, these fat pieces of shit, these local cops and this FBI agent arrested me at the bar.
Yeah. So they're working together.
They're working together to try and stop James Fry
from bumping into curbs.
Fry described antagonizing the police and the FBI agent during the arrest, also antagonizing them during the car ride to the station and while in the interrogation room. One of the things Fry said he told the FBI agent was, quote, "Your mustache makes you look like a fucking idiot."
Wow.
He said that the interrogation also like ended with one of the cops throwing a cup of coffee on him.
Here's what's funny. Like, if you're going to lie, wouldn't you write a better insult?
Yeah, because you got time to think about it.
You got some time. You can finesse it.
Really workshop that.
Yeah. Your mustache makes you look like an idiot. It's like, come on. That's what you might say in real life, but you're making it up. Do something juicy.
In the book, Fry said that he was let go after the cops couldn't find anything during a search of his house. Now, the reality is that Fry was among some students who were being investigated in a very small probe by the local police after a drug dealer turned informant named Fry amongst several other students who had been using drugs at school. The officer involved in that investigation told the Smoking Gun that he never worked with the FBI ever.
Wait, what school is he in now?
Denison College.
Okay.
This case was like very small potatoes, and Fry was never arrested for it.
Okay.
He was just put on a list of like suspected drug users at this college. The Smoking Guns investigation also debunked Fry's claim that he was wanted in 3 states: North Carolina, Michigan, and Ohio. They couldn't find any evidence of this, and when they asked Fry during that one interview they did with him, he admitted that he was merely cited for carrying an open container in North Carolina and that it wasn't a big deal. He said the same of Michigan, that the warrant would have been maybe for like a traffic citation. He's like, well, that's what I meant.
No, when you say you're wanted in 3 states, that's like you're on the FBI list.
You're like an outlaw.
Because it's like, if that were true, when he was on Oprah, wouldn't people be like, there he is, let's go get him? Right?
I mean, I had a warrant out for my arrest at one point, but all I had to do was pay the city of San Pedro back when I was in rehab.
Was it for like parking violations?
Dude, it was the dumbest fucking thing ever. I was driving with like an expired tag or a headlight out or something like that.
And that puts a warrant out for your arrest?
Well, I never got the fix-it ticket or whatever. That's what I'm saying, is like you can technically have a warrant for something so minor that all you have to do is like pay the fine.
Right.
Or show up to the court and be like, hey, I want to make this right. It's not like they were actually going to arrest me.
Right.
It was like I owed a substantial amount of money because I failed to pay this fine.
Got it.
That's why I'm like, well, yeah, if you put it like that.
Yeah. It's one of those lies where it's like you're putting out this way of saying it that makes us all think a certain way thing. Like all of us think if you're wanted in 3 states, that's serious.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, it just means I had warrants out. Or what? Do you know what I mean? It's
but
like
even saying you had a warrant out is like, it sounds to like most people as serious. It's like, why can't you just say you had like parking tickets in all these states?
Exactly. He was intentionally deceiving with the way he phrased it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even when he's not outright lying, he's like fudging it. He's like white lie.
Yeah. So they couldn't find any evidence of that. And Fry, of course, said, yeah, it was like an open container or traffic citation. The Smoking Gun piece also mentions that none of the wild characters in his book could be contacted to verify some of these outrageous stories because they were all said to be dead or in prison. Like everyone who he was involved with, like doing some crazy shit or having a crazy interaction with while in treatment, or in jail or whatever, they were like dead, missing, prison.
No record of them.
Can't contact them, sorry. But a former high school classmate of Fry's was contacted, and he told the Smoking Gun that he didn't see Fry as the destructive, violent, always in trouble kid that he described himself as in the book. The Smoking Gun also had questions about Fry's follow-up book, My Friend Leonard. Now, this book was published in June of 2005, ahead of the Oprah's book club success. The book picks up where A Million Little Pieces left off and describes his 3 months in jail for all those felony charges from the Ohio arrest. In the book, he talks about befriending a fellow inmate named Porterhouse, who is...
Okay.
Look, I love that. I got to give him credit for that name. That is good.
That is good. That's good.
So Porterhouse is this 300-pound man who is about to go on trial for a double homicide. The details of Porterhouse's homicide case are, of course, very dramatic. So here's the story. The guy, Porterhouse, catches his woman in bed with another man, so he throws the woman out of the window, killing her. He then proceeded to torture the man and killed him.
Wow.
So that's who James Fry makes friends with in prison.
So this young guy who got in trouble hitting some cops got put in a cell with a double murderer. Sorry. It's not adding up to me.
Also, the details of how Fry and Porterhouse became friends is really suspicious and also unbelievable.
Is Porterhouse's real name Leonard?
No, Leonard, I think, refers to like someone else.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I didn't read the book.
Yeah. I just didn't know who Leonard was.
No, because when the smoking gun asked him, like, well, what's Porterhouse's real name? He's like, I don't remember.
We just called him Porterhouse. We didn't ask questions.
So
also, you'd think you'd be able to find a homicide that specific.
It's so specific.
Yeah, like this is not just a regular gunshot or something.
Right. So Fry said that he met Porterhouse after Porterhouse attempted to kill him. Like he says that Porterhouse hit him over the head with a tray in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And like hit him with something else and was trying to kill him. And it turns out that the reason Porterhouse was trying to kill him is that there had been a hit put out on Fry from the sheriff that he ran into. And that the sheriff had given Porterhouse a pack of cigarettes to kill James Fry in prison.
Wow.
So then he said he became friends with his would-be assassin after he's like, I told Porterhouse what I did.
So that's their meet cute.
Yeah.
And this is already sounding like he's trying to sell a screenplay. Do you know what I mean?
Well, not only did they become friends, but Porterhouse was illiterate, so James Fry read books to him.
No.
The whole time.
No. 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 This is ridiculous.
He says he spent the 3 months he was in prison reading to Porterhouse.
Oh my God.
The whole time. And these are the books they read.
Wait, if I was reading this memoir, I would be like, come on. Like, who's buying this crap?
Do you want to guess what one of the books is they read together?
Would I be able to?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun.
To Kill a Mockingbird?
No, but that's a good guess. They read War and Peace.
Come on.
Don Quixote.
This is a lie. If someone was, why would you read those books? They're so dense and like, this is crazy.
And they also read Leaves of Grass.
Oh my God.
And there was something else. There was one other book.
These book choices are like his ego. Like, here's what I read. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and now I'm going to pass this on to you.
That's crazy.
In his book, he does like talk about like kind of like intellectual, like smarty pants shit like that.
I loved, even though I was an alcoholic, I loved great literature.
No, he like does. I've like read some excerpts in The Smoking Gun, and it is like, I didn't really get into Proust much.
Ugh, I hate this guy.
So in the book, I'm sorry, The Smoking Gun not only found claims of Fry's criminal history to be false, but also concluded that a personal story he told in the book was untrue. They called this fabrication, quote, downright creepy and detestable.
Ooh.
In A Million Little Pieces, Fry recalls a girl he was friends with back in St. Joseph, Michigan. They met when he was in the 8th grade, and according to him, he had already had this like really bad reputation around town. Like
Really?
Parents would tell their kids, you can't hang out with him.
Yeah.
He was known by all the cops. The teachers knew he was bad. Like everyone knew how bad he was. And this girl he befriends, he calls Michelle, who is older than him. She's in high school. And she's like, she became friends with me despite my bad reputation.
Wow.
She knew there was like, you know, a good person.
She's like, I love a bad boy.
So they became close. And one night he says Michelle wanted to go out on a date with this boy from her high school, but she knew that her parents wouldn't let her go. So she lied and said she was going to go to the movies with James Fry instead. Fry said that Michelle's parents dropped them off at the movies, where Michelle was then later picked up by this guy to go on a date with him. Fry said that Michelle and the boy like drove around in his car before they were hit by an oncoming train.
Oh my God.
Killing her. Now, this story wasn't made up out of thin air, but this did sound suspiciously similar to a real tragedy that occurred in Fry's hometown. In 1986, a girl named Melissa, who Fry later confirmed that he had renamed Michelle for his book, was killed in a train accident. But the details of the story are very different and don't involve Fry in any capacity. According to the local paper, the Benton Palladium, in November of 1986, 17-year-olds Melissa Sanders and Jane Hall were being driven in a car by 17-year-old Dean Spurlick. Spurlick drove the car over some tracks and was hit by an oncoming train. The car was dragged for 626 feet before falling off of the tracks. The driver, Dean, was seriously injured, but the two girls were killed. In A Million Little Pieces, Fry says that following this train crash, he was questioned by police and also blamed by the parents of the girl for their daughter's death. He then goes on to scoff about how everyone in this town always blames him for everything bad that happens.
Oh my God.
Now, James Fry...
Also, like any normal person would actually kind of feel bad. Do you know what I mean? Even if it wasn't your fault, technically, wouldn't you kind of be like, shit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd have guilt about it.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't my fault. Like,
yeah. From the excerpt I read, he talks about like, oh, it's little Jimmy Fry's fault again.
Ugh, this guy.
He got this girl killed. Now, Fry, of course, made a composite for his book of these two girls who were killed.
Right.
He turned it into one girl. He was also not in the 8th grade at the time of this train accident. He was a high school junior, and he did go to school with these girls. Like, they were around the same age. The mothers of Melissa Sanders and Jane Hall say Fry's story in the book about his relationship with this girl he calls Michelle, meant to represent both their daughters, was absolutely not true. Melissa's mother said that she didn't know Fry the way that they described him in the book, and that she could only recall meeting him one time.
Oh my God.
Because like in the book, he also talks about like hanging out with the parents.
Well, and apparently they trusted him enough to let the girl go out with him.
Yeah, like he was unknown in their household.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we knew that kid, but we only met him once.
He's such a narcissist. Like, he couldn't just be like, this fucked me up when these two girls died in my class.
Yeah.
He had to make himself involved somehow.
Yeah, he inserted himself into this tragedy.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
It's so low.
Bill Sanders, who is Melissa's father, told the Smoking Gun about the night of the tragic accident, quote, Janie stopped by and picked Melissa up. Melissa told me they were going out and that she wouldn't be home till around 12 midnight. I have never met Mr. Fry, and I never drove him anywhere.
Wow.
The 13,000-word expose on James Fry set the nation on fire.
Yes.
People were like, holy shit.
It was crazy because he was so big.
Yeah. And
he was like everywhere. He was like on Larry King. He was like on other shows other than Oprah. Like,
yeah. He was doing these like crazy book tours. He had celebrity fans. People were talking about him.
I mean, he had like a level of like rock star following.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like very famous.
He was very famous. And what's even crazier is that this is like 3 months after he became famous is this takedown.
Yeah, it was fast.
It was super fast. So Fry's publishers released a joint statement saying, "We support our author, James Fry, and his book, which has touched the lives of millions of readers." The following week, James Fry did an interview on Larry King Live to address the controversy. He started the interview saying, "My side is I wrote a memoir. I never expected the book to come under this type of scrutiny that it has. A memoir literally means my story. A memoir is a subjective retelling of events." He also said the book is 432 pages long. The total page count of disputed events is 18, which is less than 5% of the total book. You know, that falls comfortably within the realm of what's appropriate for a memoir.
Disagree. And I do get what he's saying. I do think, like I said earlier, a memoir is obviously one person's perspective, and things might be different because you're talking about a memory when you were 5, but that would be legitimately how you remember it, even if it's not accurate.
Right.
But he's blatantly making things up and lying. That's a different thing. Like, he's crazy. Also, the math of it all, like, get a grip, sir.
Yeah, he did the math there. Fry also insisted that he told people before that certain details of his story had been changed for the book. He said, quote, "I don't remember specifically what I told Oprah. I certainly told her producers that, things were altered in the book, that I made changes to the book, that sometimes those changes were made in order to protect the identities of specific individuals."
I always feel like in this type of circumstance, when someone comes off aggressively snarky and bitchy, when they should be like, "I'm really embarrassed that I switched that so drastically that it looks like a lie."
He said sometimes things were changed because they were too ridiculous. Sometimes things were changed for simple reasons of efficiency. There's one example of a change I made where I talk about a gash I had, a cut that I received. In the book, I say I cut my cheek. In reality, what happened is when I fell down, my lower teeth tore up my lip and penetrated it in 2 separate places.
Why not just say that?
Well, he went on to explain. I read this whole transcript. He went on to explain, "I did that for efficiency because it's way easier to write that you cut your cheek than having to say, like, oh, the place where between my chin and my lip or whatever."
I could follow it. And I actually think it's crazier.
Yeah.
There's no way he wouldn't tell that way.
Yeah.
He's always going to go for the more dramatic one.
I mean, that's an example of being like, I even toned down some stuff.
Ugh, this guy.
King asked about when Fry was shopping the memoir to publishers. He said, quote, Fry said, "We initially shopped the book as a novel, and it was turned down by a lot of publishers as a novel or as a nonfiction book. When Nan Talese purchased the book, I'm not sure if they knew that they were going to publish it as, we talked about what to publish it as. They thought the best thing to do was publish it as a memoir."
That's very interesting. So he was trying to sell it as a work of fiction.
Now, yes, Desi, when he first started shopping this book years ago, he was rejected 17 different times. He was shopping it as a work of fiction, but according to him, the publishers were like, well, let's make this a memoir.
And he should have been like, okay, well, I need to change some things then.
Yeah. Or it's autofiction.
Yeah, like, this is crazy that he's blaming them.
Fry went on to say that the genre of memoir hasn't even really been established.
Come on.
He's like, what does memoir even mean?
He hates accountability.
Fry also said his memory was subjective due to all the drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
He repeats at different points in the interview that in the end, this book isn't about crime. It's about drug and alcohol addiction. Now, King, who always manages to be unintentionally hilarious,
the best
in these interviews, rest in peace, he said, "You keep saying that, but a memoir is accepted as fact. I mean, if I see a memoir, I accept it as a person's memory of incidents or things in their life. I wrote a memoir. I may not have been exactly right, but it was my memory of incidents. And Fry said, I think you could probably find people who would dispute every memoir that was ever published. And a lot of them have been disputed. When Jerzy Kosinski's Painted Bird came out and became a big success several years afterwards, people said, you know what? Jerzy Kosinski never went through the Holocaust. It's happened with a number of recent memoirs. It tends to happen with a lot more high-profile memoirs. King. And Jerzy killed himself.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at that fact.
I'm not suggesting Mondovi, Wisconsin. Hello.
That was such a good show, Larry King Live.
I
the
miss
best.
It.
Why don't we have a replacement? I mean, I know it's hard to replace him.
You can't replace him.
But that was such a good show. Like, my favorite internet clips they always end up being a Larry King interview clip.
Me too.
Just like wild stuff is happening.
Yeah, that's what's her name? Being Alive.
Yeah, the Liza Minnelli interview is like iconic.
Ugh.
There's so much gold there.
Later, as the show was wrapping up, King received a surprise phone call. It was Oprah.
Oh, no.
Oprah called into the show. Well, here's a part of what she said. So the truth is, I read and recommend books based on my connection with the written word and its message. And of course, I am disappointed by this controversy surrounding A Million Little Pieces because I rely on the publishers to define the category that a book falls within and also the authenticity of that work. So I'm just like everybody else. I go to the bookstore, I pick out a book I love. If it says memoir, I know that maybe the names and dates and the times have been compressed because that's what a memoir is. And I feel about A Million Little Pieces that although some of the facts have been questioned, and people have a right to question because we live in a country that lets you do that the underlying message of redemption in James Fry's memoir still resonates with me. And I know that it resonates with millions of other people who have read this book and will continue to read this book. So at this time, Oprah stands by James Fry. She's defending him, and she's saying, yes, this is like, I understand this controversy, but the book, you can't deny the impact this book had on people.
Right.
That's what's happening at this interview right now. Now, the interview ended shortly after as King apologized to Anderson Cooper for going over. They talked a little bit about the interview. King gave his opinion to Anderson because King's like, what do you think of that? What do you think of that interview? And he says, in memoirs, you're usually working on recollection. Usually your memoir, sometimes, I might say that I started on this radio station. I'm pretty good at things like dates and places. In May. It might have been June. I'm pretty sure it was May. I know that the first famous person I interviewed, let's say, was Bobby Darin. Now that's 49 years ago. Maybe it was Danny Thomas, and someone might write and say, you know what? It was Danny Thomas before Bobby Darin. And I might say, I could have sworn it was Bobby Darin. So that could happen.
And Anderson Cooper's eyes glazed over. The audience is like, who's Danny Thomas?
The Guardian explained that over the course of the next 2 weeks, the story continued to be all over the news as new details emerged that poked holes in Fry's story. Because now everyone was like,
wait a minute. And people are probably coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Like, who knew him?
Yeah. The New York Post, obviously they were like jizzing their pants to get in on this.
Because there were certain entities that really wanted to take down Oprah's book club. Do you know what I mean? Like shit all over it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, what?
Yeah. So the New York Post published a story where they talked to people who knew Fry from growing up in St. Joseph. A parent of one of Fry's classmates didn't believe the bad kid persona that he sold in his book. She said, quote, I saw Jimmy a lot. The outward impression was that he was always healthy, happy, and self-assured. A former classmate of Fry's also disputed his reputation growing up, saying, quote, it's sad that he perceives himself as a tortured character. That's not how we saw him. He always seemed happy-go-lucky. Now, to be fair, both those people's opinions are just their opinions. We don't know what was going on internally, how he felt.
Right.
His friends and acquaintances from...
But I will say, he said he was a known bad boy.
That's true.
And that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah. So while I do believe that he is when he says like he felt like a piece of shit or whatever, he had all this inner turmoil and perceived something different to the world, like that's believable.
Of course. Well, you can't prove it. I mean,
you can't prove that anyway. But yeah, they were suggesting that he didn't have this like bad boy reputation at the age of 13.
Right. Because he said in that story with the train that only Michelle saw through that image.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying he's lying about the perception of him, right? At least.
His friends and acquaintances from Denison College also had some things to say. One guy who knew him said that Fry's story in the book about going to Paris to escape drug charges was made up. What really happened is that he went to Paris to work at his father's company. Not only did he plan the whole trip, but he brought 2 Denison girls with him.
Oh my God.
Another point the Post brought up is, we mentioned up top, one of the book's particularly gruesome moments. Fry had to undergo 2 root canals with no anesthesia or pain meds. Because according to Fry, the doctors didn't want him to risk his sobriety. The Post said that they spoke to every single dental office near the Hazleton rehab where he had gone and was like, would you give a patient? Did you treat James Fry? Would you let this happen? And everyone's like, no, that didn't happen.
That's crazy.
Also, it's been pointed out that there would have been no problem with Fry having at least Novocaine because that doesn't get you high.
No, it just numbs your pain, but not in any way that takes you out mentally.
That's what I get instead of laughing gas.
Like laughing gas actually does make you like, whoa.
And if you're having like surgery where you need to be put out, even if you are a drug addict and alcoholic, is perfectly, like you would not do it without anesthesia.
Look, I actually, as a child, did refuse Novocaine once, but it was not for a root canal. It was for a very minor cavity. And so I did do dental surgery without Novocaine, or dental, like a treatment, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was only because it was a surface cavity that they allowed it. And that was very painful.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've had a root canal too. And that there's no way you're doing that without fucking painkiller.
Right.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Because you have to be still, first of all, when
Right.
people are in your mouth. Like, you can't flinch and jump and like, you know how it is when you feel that cold, sharp thing. Do you know what I'm saying? That is, even if it's like not exactly painful, it's something that makes you flinch, kind of like, and that's like going into your fucking gums.
Yeah.
I'm just, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy that he would say that.
It's also annoying because there is a very real and important discussion he could have had in the book about what it's like to be an addict and you have an injury where you might need to take some kind of, pain medication that, like,
right.
That's a very real...
It's a real problem.
that happens, that comes up, that, like...
You have to deal with.
You have to deal with in some capacity. And so, like, no doctor would do this.
No. It's like saying... on its face, it's just like that. There's no way that happened. They would take your tooth out before they did that.
I mean, even beyond like him saying he wasn't given pain meds, like there's plenty of other interesting discussions to be had about like going back to the doctor for the first time as an addict and like wondering what you fucking did to your body and being scared or
having to answer those questions.
Yeah. Why is there a hole in your nose, Rachel?
Just like, how often do you drink? Do you know what I mean? Like all those history that's boring for a lot of us where it's like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have to be like, well, I've done cocaine. You know what I mean? It's kind of like embarrassing.
And also just being confronted with the fact that like you might have gotten a disease from like sharing a needle or whatever, or from having sex
damaged
with someone.
your lungs or whatever. Like
anything you might have to be. And that's all very real and interesting. The Post also spoke to a former patient from Hazleton who disputed Fry's claims of violent outbursts during his stay, pointing out that that kind of behavior Fry described doing in the book would have gotten him kicked out immediately.
Right.
So I guess in these like rehab, when he's in rehab, he's like being hella violent and like crazy, and they just don't kick him out.
Yeah. That seems unlikely.
The patient also questioned Fry's rehab romance.
Oh, no.
As the clinic separates the men from the women.
Yeah.
And I know from my own personal experience, one of the rehabs I went to was co-ed. Like, you cannot be alone with the guys.
Right.
It doesn't happen. And they are very on top of that shit.
Yeah.
So January 26th, 2006, Oprah had James Fry back on her show in a now infamous interview.
So this is like 3 years later.
No, 2006.
Oh, I thought he published in 2003.
He published in 2003.
Okay.
The book club was fall 2005.
So this is a year later.
No. Fall 2005, 3 months later after Oprah's book club, it's the smoking gun interview in January.
Right.
That same month, this is 2 weeks after the smoking gun, Oprah invites him back on the show.
So this is only 2 weeks after it broke.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is after Oprah publicly defended and stood by James.
On Larry King.
On Larry King, yes. So Oprah invited James Fry back on her show in this now infamous interview. Fry had no idea that the interview would be a confrontation from a very furious Oprah about the lies in his book. He was just told, like, hey, we want you to come back on the show.
And why would he think differently after she defended him?
Yes.
Right?
Fry's publisher, Nan Talese, who was there as well, had no idea what this was about. In fact, she was, I'll get into what they told her, why they wanted her there as well. And both were shocked when Oprah began laying into Fry. The New York Times published some excerpts from that interview. Unfortunately, you can't, this interview is like scrubbed from the internet. You can't find it.
Oh my God.
But I have excerpts from it.
Right.
Oprah said to Fry, I have to say, it is difficult for me to talk to you because I really feel duped. I feel duped. But more importantly, I feel that you betrayed millions of readers. And I think, it's such a gift to have millions of people read your work. And that bothers me greatly. So now, as I sit here today, I don't know what the truth is, and I don't know what isn't. So first of all, I wanted to start with the smoking gun report titled The Man Who Conned Oprah. And I want to know, were they right? Fry. I think most of what they wrote was pretty accurate. Absolutely. I think they did a good job detailing some of the discrepancies between some of the actual facts and events. And then Oprah asks him about the time that he spent in prison. And he confirmed, yeah, I have only ever spent 5 hours in jail. Then she moved on to one of the characters in his book, Lily, a crack addict that he met in rehab and got involved with. Fry said, yes, there really was a Lily. But Oprah said, well, the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is if you were in jail for 87 days and you say on page 420 of the book that you and Lily are saying goodbye and, quote, I have to go to jail in Ohio and it's only going to be for a few months and I'm going to write you every day. And I have to tell you, James, that when I was reading that book and I get to the last page and Lily has hung herself when you arrived, the day that she was hung, and I couldn't even believe it. I'm like gasping. I'm calling people like, oh my God, this happened. So if you weren't in jail at all that time, and you're telling her to hold on, why couldn't you get to her?
Oh, shit.
Fry explained that after rehab, he actually went back to Ohio. Then he went to North Carolina where he lived for a time. And he's like, I just was like late to pick her up.
So did Lily actually die?
I don't know because according to like a report, like they uncovered, I don't remember if I wrote it down here, but like basically they contacted like all the halfway houses in the area where Lily was said to be staying. And they're like, well, we would have like a huge fucking incident report on that if one of our residents was living here and hung themselves. In jail, he was like, that was like the whole story in his book is like, oh, I was in prison. I couldn't get to her in time. And it's also very dramatic because it's like he talks to her 12 hours before he gets released on the phone. And he's like, just hold on. I'm coming. I'm getting out in 12 hours. And then he drives like 6 hours out as soon as he's released from prison. And by the time he gets there, she's dead.
So he's like a hero almost. Like he's doing his best to get to her.
Right. And like it's this tragic scene where he walks in and finds her.
I mean, that's what I'm saying though. So he's now saying, oh, I just went across the country. I was living in North Carolina. But he'd rather keep, like she might not have even existed and died, but he'd still rather prolong the lie that he was just in North Carolina than say, actually, she never even existed. So I'm not a piece of shit who left her.
Or even worse, she did take her own life, but none of that involved me because we hadn't talked since rehab.
Right. It's like he can't even get out of his lies. Or, you know what I mean? Like he's in a position where he has to look bad no matter what.
Yeah. Oprah was particularly furious about that.
Because it's very similar to the train story. If it happened and he wasn't really involved, he's taking someone else's tragedy and making himself a part of it again.
Yeah.
Or it's made up.
Which is also like,
Which is also gross.
Why would you do that? So he tries to explain further. He says, the process was vastly accelerated from what I wrote in the book. She did, Oprah. I don't know what that means. What does that mean, vastly accelerated? Fry. I mean, it happened in a much shorter period of time, and we were planning on meeting up with each other, and she committed suicide before we met up. Oprah. I called defending you on Larry King because I believe that the essence of this book was true. And at the time, I didn't know Smoking Gun was true or not because you had a strong relationship with my producers, and they so believed in you. And we had asked the publisher if this was true when we started to get criticism after the book, after we had announced the book, and the publishers had told us it was true. So that's why I trusted you and believed you. But this is the thing. Why would you lie? Why do you have to lie about the time you spent in jail? Why did you have to do that? Fry. I mean, I think part of what happened with a number of things in the book is when you go through an experience like the one I went through, you develop different coping mechanisms. And I think one of the coping mechanisms I developed was sort of this image of myself that was greater that was greater than what I actually was. In order to get through the experience of the addiction, I thought of myself as being tougher than I was and badder than I was, and it helped me cope. And when I was writing the book, instead of being introspective as I should have been, I clung to that image. Later that year, new copies of A Million Little Pieces were printed with a disclaimer and an apology from James Fry.
So embarrassing.
Now, the part of the apology says, my mistake, and it is one that I deeply regret, is writing about the person I created in my mind to help me cope and not the person who went through the experience. In September of 2006, The Guardian published that piece written by Laura Barton, who interviewed Fry in Manhattan. She wrote that the public's current opinion of Fry ranged from disgust to support. Like, he still had a lot of fans who were like, I don't even care.
Right.
I loved that book. It helped me, or it's well written. The stories,
or they just liked it.
They liked the book. Fry himself said that out of 5,000 fan letters he gets, he's only received 50 that were hate mail. By this time, Fry's publisher and agent had dropped him. According to his agent, Cassie Evashevsky, quote, it became impossible for me to maintain a relationship once the trust had been broken. He eventually did apologize, but I felt for many reasons I had to let him go as a client. Now, Fry told the interviewer, he was like, well, she had no problem taking my money.
That's before she knew, right?
I guess so. A judge would later approve of a refund settlement for readers who felt that they had been duped by the book. Random House, the publisher, paid most of the settlement to the lawyer, and the 1,700 people who felt they were duped received a very small amount of money. In July 2007, Nan Talese went off on Oprah at a literary convention. Oh. This convention was filmed for C-SPAN, and I watched a clip of it. And it begins with author Joyce Carol Oates.
No.
This woman, look, if you don't follow her on Twitter, I always forget I don't follow her because I see her tweets so often.
Right.
She is a very unique individual.
Yeah.
She says some wild stuff.
She's in her own world, and I love her for it.
Do you remember when she posted that picture of her keyboard of her computer, and it was the most gnarly, disgusting,
I don't remember that,
dirt-filled thing you'd ever seen in your life? But she'll post these pictures sometimes where it's that's horrifying, and it's a very casual caption.
I love her because she exists on Twitter and never responds to any of the critiques or criticisms. No, she just keeps on posting.
She keeps posting no matter what, and I love that.
She's like a hardcore poster.
Yeah.
Which is wild, 'cause she's in her 70s, right?
I don't know, because I feel she's looked like she's been in her 70s for a long time.
I mean, she's definitely in her 70s.
Yeah.
Which is wild to be that active on Twitter.
She's just finished this speech where she briefly touched upon James Fry and truth in memoirs. That wasn't what the whole speech was about, but at one point she did touch on that. So Nan Talese was in the audience, and she was given the mic immediately after the speech to give her opinion.
You know someone named Nan is going to go off.
She's going up, and this woman is the biggest lady in publishing. She's huge.
It's probably one of the only names I know in publishing.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. So, and I don't even think I'm saying her last name correctly.
I think it is correct.
Talese?
Yeah.
I've only ever seen it written.
I'm pretty sure it's how it's said.
Anyway, she said it wasn't until Oprah's fans accused her of not caring about the truth that she changed her mind about James Fry. She said that Oprah's producers invited her on the show to talk on a panel with some journalists to talk about truth in America. And it wasn't until she got to the set that a producer told her that it was going to be this takedown interview of James Fry.
To be honest, I don't even care. I buy 100% that you can do something in the moment and then sit with it and get more and more pissed when you start realizing all the other things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit that she didn't tell him. I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah, maybe.
It seems it's that's what you're mad about.
Yeah,
I just feel in this moment, you need to sit the fuck down.
She's really mad about this. She said this was totally self-important. She verbally flayed him in public. She said at the end of the interview, Oprah pulled Fry aside and said, I know it was tough, but I know it was rough, but this is just business. She then called Oprah sanctimonious.
I think it was good for him. I think he needed to answer. And he hadn't really been held accountable in that way, I don't think.
We wanted answers as a nation.
And I just think she had a right to do it because she put him on the map. And it did, in a way, humiliate her, right? Because people were already dunking on her book club. That she picked stupid books. I remember, people not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that I get why she was pissed.
Right, because it's this huge platform. It's a huge honor. She obviously was wildly praised. She had him on for the whole fucking show to talk about his story.
Also, I do believe you see these incidents. Oh, you're like, who cares if he wasn't really in jail? But then you start thinking about the things that weren't taken down in the smoking gun piece because it was these things that couldn't really be proven, like the woman's suicide necessarily. Yeah. So she starts thinking of things that really moved her. And knowing that that was probably also untrue. And then you can start seeing the holes in stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. I buy that it took her a beat to kind of get there.
It's so funny because like over the years I've gone back and forth, and I didn't really obviously do a deep dive until this week. I've gone back and forth about my opinion about him and this whole controversy. But I don't know. I
think it's like I'm disgusted by it. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not really a big crime in my mind. It's a crime. It's maybe bad. It's a bad look.
Yeah.
As a writer who's trying to be real and authentic and getting people to believe your story, that's real.
Right.
I do think it's like bad. It's a bad look. It's kind of gross, but I don't think it's like that guy should be destroyed and his life ruined and he should go to jail. No. I don't even necessarily think a lawsuit should have happened where people got a refund for the book. Like, come on, like who gives a shit? Like, can you imagine suing for that? No, I'd be like, oh, that's weird. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, what they want,
you read the book,
$14 back for the book.
I mean, are we all gonna go and be like, was this authentic? I want my $10 back or whatever. Like,
yeah,
like that to me is like, come on. Like, I just don't know that it's. What like did it couldn't possibly have affected anyone in a real way.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know.
I just don't. I definitely think it's icky. It would make me not want to read anything by him unless he did a truly accountable, real memoir. It's funny when he's talking about how this was his persona, which is clearly something it sounds like he thought through to make it seem okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'd actually be interested in that book, where I see your persona versus the reality. That's a good book to me.
What if he wrote a memoir that was like his ideas, because that, alcoholics, we can invent all sorts of fictions in our heads when things are happening.
Well, even people just in traumatic situations invent two stories to survive, right?
Yes.
Like, so I feel like a lot of people could relate to that.
You tell the truth about what really happened, but you also tell, like, here's how I wish it would have gone down. Or here's how 2 weeks later in the shower, I was like, I don't know.
Or it's like a highly stylized book where it's a chapter and then the next chapter is the real version.
Like John Waters' book, Car Sick. Yeah. That's a great book.
So I feel like that could have been a fun, interesting book because I would be interested going in knowing he had a persona.
Right.
The fact that he lied about it, I just don't buy his excuse. I feel like it's something he worked out after the fact.
Or who has a great addiction memoir is the lead singer of TSOL.
Oh.
His book is very stylized in that way. Like there are some fantastical elements in it. So it's a great memoir.
I don't even mind fantastical elements. I just need to know.
No, I mean, it's like there's literally like a monster in it or something.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
I get that, and I like that kind of thing because it's clearly like
it's like
you get what's happening.
You get what's happening, and it's also a representation. It's like a physical representation of the alcoholism. It's like the beast,
right? So, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not an author.
I don't know. What's he done since? Do we know?
Okay, now we're going to get into what's happened since. This is going to be very brief. He did continue to write books. This time, strictly fiction. He's only writing fiction now, Desi.
Good call.
He signed a 3-book deal with HarperCollins. This deal was for 7 figures.
Damn.
So he's fine. In 2011, Oprah had James Fry back on her show.
Oh.
This time to apologize. It's like, it's kind of touching. I don't know. I mean, she's wiping away tears. And she says to him that she now realized that so much of her anger in this 2006 confrontation was about her being embarrassed. Like, she's very honest about it. She's like, I was embarrassed and I was mad at you because I was embarrassed.
Right.
And because so much of my ego was involved in this. And like, this is why I reacted the way I did. And she said that the media had not just gone after you, but like they went after me.
Yeah.
And like questioned my integrity.
Yeah.
And I was furious at you. So she said she felt like she had been attacked and that she had to defend herself. And this is why she lashed out at him. She apologized to Fry because she felt she had exhibited a lack of compassion towards him. And she said she wished she had gone into the interview instead, like still asking these questions and confronting him, but in a more like measured way, I guess.
Right. That makes sense. And I feel like that's an honorable apology.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I was in a place where I was angry.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do?
Right.
And I think one thing to remember too, at that point, Oprah had been pretty like on a pedestal and could do no wrong. Right. So this was one of the first major things that happened where she was in a negative light.
Yes.
I think.
Well, and this is even before, if memory serves me, like obviously she had Dr. Phil on her show. He was like a known entity, but in my memory, it was before all the controversy around him had started.
Oh, yeah. I think way before.
Right.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like she was at that point even being accused of like, you platform this fucking weirdo.
No. I mean, she certainly has tons of criticism now.
Yeah.
But back then, I just remember this being one of the first. And she definitely was a person I think that people wanted to take down at that point.
Yeah.
Because she was kind of like could do no wrong at that point.
And people love to take down like
right,
that.
especially, like the Post or whatever. So
right.
I can see that she was being dragged in where she's like, can we trust Oprah now? And that probably really like freaked her out.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be pissed too.
I agree. I feel like she had a right to go off on him in that way. I know she's like, wants to be a better person and do things more measured.
But
I don't really hold it against her necessarily because I do feel like he kind of had to answer those questions. And I think she got it out of him because he probably was scared shitless when Oprah was yelling at him.
I don't want to get yelled at by Oprah.
Me either. I'd be like confessing all my sins.
Yeah.
Please, Oprah, I'm sorry.
I feel real bad about whatever it is I did.
I know. So, but it is, I believe her apology too.
Yeah, I do. And I understand why she did it because it's like, you do, that is a moment where I completely understand, but you look back years later and you're like, ugh, I wish I would have been more this
open. Because she's like, tries to be honest, right? So she could have opened it with, look, I'm angry.
Right.
I'm not in my normal self right now because I'm pissed.
Yeah.
And I wish I was more, whatever she said, measured. So I get it all. But yeah. So he's just writing fiction now.
He's like written some screenplays. He did, what's funny? He wasn't an author before A Million Little Pieces, but he did sell a screenplay in the late 90s. Do you remember the movie with David Schwimmer, Kissing a Fool?
Yes, I do.
He wrote that.
Really?
He wrote that. So he's like had a writing career for a long time.
Right.
By this point.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Oh my God.
That's the story of A Million Little Pieces.
Oh my God.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I do. I love literary hoaxes and scandals. I don't know why. They always get me.
Yeah. People making up events about their life always get me too.
I just don't know how you think you're going to get away with it. Like, that's so ballsy.
It's so ballsy.
I'd be so scared.
The second Oprah called me for her book club, I'd be like, I don't want to do it.
I'd be like, let me fact check everything again. Like, I need to go over this.
Well, Desi, we will be back for our mini episode very shortly.
Yeah.
And we got some new stuff on Patreon we put up a few days ago.
Yep.
If you want to check that out, we have a very special announcement on our next mini episode.
Oh, okay.
You know what it is.
No, I'm acting gullible. What?
We have a very special announcement to make, and we'll be making that on our mini.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.